Bordeaux. Just saying the name, it conjures up these images, doesn't it? Legendary wines, Grand Chateau.
Absolutely. It's got that global prestige.
But what a lot of people maybe don't fully grasp is how the region sort of beats to two different rhythms.
You mean the left bank and the right bank?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dictated by the rivers, the land itself. So today, forget the dusty textbooks. We're diving deep.
Right into what really sets these two iconic sides apart.
Our mission. Simple, really. We want to arm you with a real insider's understanding of their fascinating differences, what makes each one unique.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into the history, how the soil, the climate, how it all shapes the grapes.
And the main players, Cabernet Sauvignon versus Merlot, big difference there.
Huge. And the styles of wine they produce. We've sifted through quite a bit. Articles, sommelier analyses, the whole 9 yards.
Think of this as your express ticket, yeah, to really understanding the soul of Bordeaux.
And hopefully a few surprises along the way.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get our feet wet on the left bank first. Where do we start? History.
Yeah, you kind of have to. To get why it's so esteemed, you need a bit of context. Our sources, they trace winemaking back to Roman times, easily.
Wow, Romans. But wasn't there a specific moment that really put the left bank on the map?
Definitely. The 1855 classification, that was, well, arguably the big one, etched its name in the history books.
Right, 1855. And what's interesting is that it wasn't some, like, objective taste test, was it?
Not at all. It was based purely on trading prices and the established reputation of the chateau at that specific time. Mostly Médoc estates, plus one from Graves.
So it created this hierarchy.
Exactly. A hierarchy that, even though it's pretty static, still massively influences how people see these wines and, the prices, especially for those top left bank games.
A historical snapshot still echoing today. Fascinating.
It really is.
And the Gironde estuary, the big river delta, it's more than just scenery, right? It's fundamental geographically.
Absolutely fundamental. It's formed where the Garonne and Dordogne rivers meet, creating this massive waterway that basically splits the region.
So the left bank is west of the estuary and the Garonne River.
Correct. And over millennia, those rivers dumped tons of sediment alluvial deposits, we call them. That's what built up the unique soils we find there.
And it was the highway for trade, too, historically.
The main artery, getting those valuable wines out to England, the Netherlands, everywhere. Crucial.
Okay, soil. Let's talk left bank soil. We always hear gravel, gravel, gravel. Why is that so important?
Gravel really is the star. Often mixed with some clay and sand, but the gravel dominates. And the key thing is drainage.
Right, Bordeaux gets a fair bit of rain.
It does. It's a maritime climate. So good drainage is absolutely vital. It stops the vines getting wet feet, basically.
And forces the roots down deep.
Exactly. Searching for water and nutrients. That concentrates the flavors in the grapes. But there's more. That gravel holds heat. It soaks up the sun during the day and radiates it back at night, like little storage heaters.
Ah, okay, so that helps ripen the grapes.
Perfectly. Especially for Cabernet Sauvignon, which is a late ripening grape. It needs that extra warmth, that gentle, even heat to fully mature.
That makes sense. This slow ripening idea seems really central to the left bank style. It's not a rush job.
Not at all. It's gradual, consistent. The gentle slopes you find there help too. More drainage, better sun exposure. It all lets the Cabernet develop complex flavors and those famous tannins without getting overly sugary.
Like a slow simmer, you said.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You extract more nuance over time. The mild oceanic climate just ties it all together.
Okay, so Cabernet Sauvignon is king here. What does that mean for the wine in the glass? What's the typical left bank profile?
Structure. That's the word you hear most often. These wines are built around Cabernet structure. They have firm tannins, especially when young, and really vibrant acidity.
Meaning they need time.
Often, yes. They demand cellar time to really show their best. Young, you get maybe intense blackcurrant, blackberry.
But with age.
That's when the magic happens. Layers evolve. Cedar, tobacco, leather, spice, earthy notes, even a kind of graphite or mineral thing. Longevity is absolutely key.
Right. Now, the left bank isn't just one place. It's broken down into appellations, smaller areas.
Exactly. You can't just talk about left bank wine, really. You need to get more specific.
So where should we start? The Médoc seems like the big one.
It is. The Médoc is the main red wine zone north of the city of Bordeaux. It's a long strip of land, and it's further divided into communes, villages, basically, each with its own appellation.
And within the Médoc, there's the Haut-Médoc.
Correct. That's the southern, generally considered higher quality part of the Médoc. It actually surrounds those most famous villages or communes. Home Médoc wines themselves offer that classic left bank style, often at a pretty good value point.
But the real famous names are those communes within the Haut Médoc.
That's where the legends live. Saint-Estèphe, Pauillac, Saint-Julien, Margaux.
Okay, let's take them one by one. Saint-Estèphe. Heard it's a bit different, maybe more powerful.
That's a good observation. It's the northernmost of the big four communes in the Haut Médoc. The wines are known for being quite robust, powerful. Yeah.
Why is that? Soil difference.
Partly. There tends to be a bit more clay mixed in with the gravel compared to its southern neighbors.
Ah, and clay holds water, which Merlot likes.
Exactly. So you often find a slightly higher percentage of Merlot in Saint-Estèphe blends. That can give them a touch more flesh, maybe make them a bit more approachable younger, but they still have that core structure for aging.
Okay. Then Pauillac. Now that's a name that carries weight.
Oh, absolutely. Pauillac is often called the jewel of the Médoc. It's ground zero for Bordeaux prestige.
Because of the first growths.
3 of the 5 original 1855 first growths are right there. Lafitte Rothschild, Latour, and Mouton Rothschild. The soil is deep, deep gravel. Absolutely perfect for Cabernet Sauvignon.
And the wines.
Think power, structure, intensity. Classic blackcurrant, cedar, maybe cigar box aromas. They have this almost unbelievable ability to age and evolve for decades. Just magnificent structure.
Wow, okay. Moving south again, Saint-Julien. What's its reputation?
Saint-Julien is often seen as the balance point. It sits between the sheer power of Pauillac to the north and the, well, elegance of Margaux to the south.
So, finesse, harmony.
Precisely. The wines tend to be incredibly well-balanced, refined, great harmony between the fruit concentration and those fine-grained tannins. It's known for super consistent quality. Lots of high-performing second and third growths there, like the Liavilles, Los Cases, Poiferret, and Ducru Bocayou.
Consistent quality is always good to hear. And finally, Margaux, the southernmost of the big four. More graceful, you hinted.
Yes, Margaux is really celebrated for its elegance, sometimes described as having an almost floral perfume. Violets are often mentioned.
Sounds lovely. Different soil again.
Often a bit lighter, maybe more sand mixed with the gravel in places. This seems to give the Cabernet Sauvignon a more ethereal, delicate profile. The textures can be incredibly silky and fine.
And home to Chateau Margaux itself, another first growth.
The epitome of that graceful Margaux style. Yeah. And we shouldn't forget Listrac and Moulis, just inland. They don't have the same fame, but often offer really solid, sometimes more rustic, Listrac or fruity, Moulis, value-driven left bank reds.
That's a fantastic tour of the Médoc. But the left bank isn't only the Médoc, right? There's Graves and Pessac-Léognan further south.
Correct. South of the city of Bordeaux itself, you hit the Graves region. The name means gravel, so no surprise about the soil.
Still gravelly. But Graves does things differently.
Well, the big distinction is that Graves is renowned for both excellent reds and high-quality dry white wines.
Oh, whites too. Interesting. And the reds, still Cabernet dominant.
Often, yes, but Merlot plays a more significant role here, often sharing the stage more equally with Cabernet Sauvignon in the blends. This can mean the reds have slightly softer tannins, maybe earthier notes compared to the Médoc styles.
And Pessac-Léognan is within Graves.
Yes, it's an appellation carved at the northern, most highly regarded part of Graves, right near to the city. It's recognized as the top zone for both reds and whites.
So, top-tier stuff. What are the Pessac reds like?
Still typically cab dominant, elegant structure, dark fruits, spice, those Graves earthy notes. Definitely capable of aging beautifully.
And the whites, you said they're special.
They really are. Mostly Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. They can be incredibly aromatic and fresh when young, often with a flinty mineral edge. But they also age wonderfully, developing these rich, honeyed, nutty complexities. Really special wines.
And didn't you mention a first growth was down here, not in the Médoc?
That's right, Château Haut-Brion. It was actually included in the 1855 classification, the only one outside the Médoc. And there are other huge names there too, like La Mission Haut-Brion, Pape Clément. Really prestigious estates.
Okay, wow. We've really covered some ground on the left bank. Gravel, Cabernet, structure, aging. Got it.
That's the essence of it.
So now let's cross the river, chart a course for the right bank. Geographically, what are we looking at over there? East of the Gironde and the Dordogne River.
Correct. East of the estuary and the Dordogne. And the landscape changes. It's generally hillier, more undulating, less flat than most of the Médoc.
And historically? Same ancient roots, but maybe a different path to fame.
Pretty much. Winemaking goes way back here too, but its rise to prominence, especially for the Merlot-based wines we know today, followed a slightly different path. And critically, there isn't that single overarching classification like the Médoc's 1855 system. Saint-Julien has its own, but it works differently.
Okay, and the all-important soil. If the left bank is gravel, what's the right bank standing on?
Clay. Clay is much more dominant here. Rich, cool, moisture-retentive clay. That's the key soil type.
And that makes a difference because...
Because clay holds water brilliantly. And the star grape here, Merlot, loves that consistent water supply, especially in warmer summers. Often this clay sits on top of limestone bedrock.
Limestone, what does that add?
Limestone is porous, so it helps with drainage underneath the clay, but it also seems to contribute this freshness and mineral edge to the wines grown on it.
Interesting contrast. And the climate, still maritime, or does it shift a bit being further inland?
It shifts subtly. There's a bit more of a continental influence, so generally slightly warmer summers and potentially colder winters than right by the coast on the left bank, though the rivers still moderate things quite a bit.
Okay, so clay soils, slightly warmer summers. It all points to Merlot being the star here, doesn't it?
Absolutely perfectly suited. Merlot just thrives in those conditions. It ripens earlier than Cabernet Sauvignon too, which is a plus in a climate where autumn can sometimes turn wet or cool a bit earlier. It's just a natural fit.
So what's the resulting wine style? If left bank is structure and tannin, what's the right bank's signature?
Softness is a word that comes up a lot, generally more approachable when young. You get lovely ripe fruit character, red fruits like cherry and raspberry, black fruits like plum.
And the tannins?
Typically softer, more velvety or plush compared to the firmer tannins of left bank Cabernet. Acidity is usually moderate. You might also find notes of chocolate, maybe some herbs, sometimes violets, especially from wines with Cabernet Franc.
So easier drinking younger, maybe, but can they still age?
Oh, definitely. Don't mistake approachability for lack of seriousness. The top right bank wines from places like Saint-Julien and Pomerol can age incredibly well, developing complex spice, leather, tobacco, and earthy notes. Just like the best left bank wines, they just start from a slightly softer place.
Right. And just like the left bank, the right bank has its own important areas, its own appellations. Where should we focus?
Well, the two giants are Saint-Julien and Pomerol, but there are others worth knowing too.
Let's start with Saint-Julien. Sounds historical.
It is. Very historical town, beautiful place. The wines are known for elegance, complexity, those velvety tannins we mentioned. Merlot is dominant, but Cabernet Franc plays a really important supporting role here, adding spice and structure.
And you mentioned it has its own classification system.
Yes, and it's quite different from the Médoc's. It's hierarchical Premier Grand Cru Class A, divided into A and B tiers, and then Grand Cru Class A. And the really unique thing is that it's supposed to be revised roughly every 10 years, though that process has become quite controversial sometimes.
Controversial? How so?
Well, promotions and demotions.
Right.
It involves lawsuits, appeals. It's become quite contentious. But the idea is to keep it dynamic based on recent performance, unlike the fixed 1855 list.
I see. And within Saint-Julien itself, does the specific location matter? Different soils?
Hugely important. It's not uniform at all. You have the limestone plateau near the town that tends to give wines with real elegance and minerality.
Okay.
Then you have the slopes, the coasts, often clay over limestone. These can produce more powerful, concentrated wines with firmer structure.
And closer to the river.
Down near the Dordogne, the soils become sandier, more alluvial. Those wines are typically lighter, fruitier, maybe mature a bit faster.
So you really need to know where in Saint-Julien the wine comes from. Any famous names we should know? Top tier.
Oh yes, the absolute peak. The premier Grand Cru Class AA estates currently include legends like Chateau Ausson and Chateau Cheval Blanc, historic names, and more recently elevated, Chateau Angelus and Chateau Pavie, true icons of the right bank.
Got it. And what about these satellite appellations you hear about near Saint-Julien?
Right. These are neighboring areas like Lussac Saint-Emilion, Montagne Saint-Emilion, Puissagalles Saint-Emilion. There's also Saint-Georges Saint-Emilion.
What's the deal with them? Similar style?
Generally, yes. They share similar clay limestone soils and the Merlot focus. They often produce wines that echo the Saint-Emilion character, elegant, fruity, but usually at much friendlier prices. Great places to look for value.
Good tip. Okay, so that's Saint-Emilion and its neighbors. What about Pomerol? It feels like it has this almost mythical reputation.
It does, doesn't it? And what's amazing is that Pomerol has no formal classification system at all. None.
Really? How does that work?
Its reputation is built entirely on the sheer quality and desirability of its wines, led by iconic, often tiny, estates. It's small, but packs a punch.
So what makes Pomerol wine so special? The terroir.
Absolutely. It's a unique plateau with a real mix of soils, clay, yes, but also gravel patches, some sand, and crucially, this iron-rich subsoil in places called crasse de fer.
Cross de fer. Iron. Does that affect the taste?
Many believe it contributes a certain richness, maybe an earthy truffle-like complexity, especially as the wines age. Pomerol is Merlot dominant, often with some Cabernet Franc. Think rich, powerful, concentrated wines, often quite opulent, but still with a structure to age for a very long time.
And the big names.
Petrus is probably the most famous, almost legendary, incredibly expensive, but also Le Fleur, Le Pay, Vieux Chateau Sauton, tiny productions, massive demand. The clay is key for that richness and power, holding moisture for the Merlot.
Fascinating. Okay, one last area maybe? Fronsac and Canon Fronsac, where do they fit in?
They lie just west of Pomerol and Saint-Emilion, a bit hillier again. They have diverse soils too, limestone, clay. They produce quite structured red wines, again, mostly Merlot, but often with a healthy dose of Cabernet Franc, sometimes even more than in Pomerol.
Are they similar to Pomerol or Saint-Emilion?
They have their own character, maybe a bit more sturdy or firmly structured in youth than some Saint-Emilions, sometimes with more noticeable tannins early on, definitely capable of aging. You get red and black fruit, earthy notes, sometimes spice or herbs. The limestone can give a nice freshness.
And value-wise?
Increasingly seen as offering excellent quality for the price, especially compared to their very famous neighbors. Definitely appellations on the rise, worth exploring.
Okay, that's a great tour of the right bank too. Clay, Merlot, softness, but also serious structure in places like Pomerol.
You've got it.
So, let's try and wrap this up. If we had to boil it down, what are the absolute key differences listeners should take away about left bank versus right bank Bordeaux?
I'd say left bank equals gravel soils, Cabernet Sauvignon dominance, leading to structured, tannic wines built for the long haul. Think black currant, cedar, requires patience.
Okay, and right bank.
Right bank equals clay and limestone soils. Merlot dominance, often with Cab Franc, leading to generally softer, rounder, fruitier wines, often more approachable younger, but top examples age beautifully too. Think plum, cherry, chocolate, velvety texture.
And these differences really stem from the ground up, the soil, the climate, influencing the grape choice.
Precisely. It's terroir in action.
But bottom line, neither is better, right? They're just different expressions of great winemaking.
Absolutely not better or worse. Both sides represent the pinnacle. They offer distinct styles, different personalities, but both are capable of producing truly profound wines. It's about finding the style you prefer or appreciating the contrast.
Which leads nicely to a final thought for everyone listening. Think about your own preferences. Do you lean towards that left bank structure or the right bank softness?
Or maybe enjoy both for different reasons, different moods, different foods.
Exactly. And perhaps this chat has sparked some curiosity. Maybe you'll seek out a Saint-Julien to compare with a Pomerol, or explore Pessac-Lognan's whites, or hunt down value in Fronsac or a Saint-Emilion satellite.
That's the journey, isn't it? Exploring the nuances.
It is. Delving deeper into this wonderfully complex, endlessly rewarding world of Bordeaux.